Hi everyone! Thank you for joining me for Storytime with Moonie, where I read short stories every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 8 p.m. for littles in every community. You can follow me on Instagram at Moonie the Space Kitty or Moonie the Space Kitty SFW. The only difference between the profiles are the tags that I use. Through the profiles, you'll have access to the items that I sell in my little shop. Before I get started, just to let you know, I am still stammering with stories and hopefully I'll get better. But leave some comments and what you want to hear and I'll be happy to respond. Now, grab your stuffy and get real comfy. Tonight's story is How the Leopard Got His Spots. Long, long ago, Leopard lived on a hot, bare, sandy yellow plain in Africa. Giraffe and zebra lived there too, along with lots of deer, big and small, young and old. The animals were sandy yellow all over, just like the plain itself. Leopard was sandy yellow too, which wasn't good for the rest of the animals because Leopard was hard to spot on the sandy yellow plain. He could lie in wait in the sandy yellow grasses, then jump out, catch them, and eat them up whenever he wanted to. Giraffe and zebra and the rest of the animals lived in fear. Leopard, however, was very happy and never hungry. After a while, Giraffe and zebra and the others had had enough. They decided to move away from the sandy plain and find a better place to live. They walked and walked until they came to a huge forest where the sun shone through the trees, making stripy, speckly, patchy shades and sections of spotty, stripy sunshine. The animals hid themselves here, and while they hid, partly in the sun, partly in the shadows, their skin changed color. Giraffe's skin became covered with big, brown, blotchy spots from the blotchy shadow he stood in, and Zebra's skin became covered in stripes from the stripy shadow he was in. The other animal's skin became darker, too, with wavy lines and patterns from the shadows around them. Back on the sandy plain, Leopard was puzzled. All the animals had disappeared. He was starting to get hungry. "Where have they all gone?" he asked Baboon. "To the forest," said Baboon carelessly. "And they've changed. You need to change, too." Leopard started to ask Baboon what she meant by change. But baby Baboon needed feeding, so she was too busy to explain. Leopard set out for the forest. He walked and walked, and at last he found it, but all he could see was tree trunks. They were speckled and spotted, dotted and splashed with shadows. He couldn't see Giraffe, or Zebra, or any of the others, but he could smell them, so he knew they were there. Leopard lay down to wait. After a long, long time, something moved in the shadows. A small deer trotted toward him. But sandy yellow Leopard wasn't hidden in the leafy green forest, so the deer saw him at once and skipped away. All Leopard could catch was its tail. "I'm too small to fill your belly," cried the deer. "Please let me go." The deer was right about that. It was tiny and thin and not really worth bothering about, but Leopard kept hold of its tail anyway. "What's happened to all the animals?" asked Leopard. "We've all changed," the deer replied. "Now our skins are speckly, spotty, dotty, and splashy, just like the shadows in the forest. You only caught me because I'm young. I should have been more careful." Leopard let the little deer go and sat down to think. "So that's why I can't see Giraffe and Zebra and the rest of them in the forest," he thought. "They've changed their skin too much to match the shadow trees. If I'm going to catch them, I need to change too. And how in the world can I do that?" As he sat there thinking, more deer walked through the trees. Then they moved. Leopard could see them clearly. When they stopped moving, they were hidden by the shadows. Leopard was easy to spot with his sandy yellow skin, so the deer didn't come too close. Leopard sat in the shadows all a long, long time and licked his paws thoroughly. Soon, he began to notice something odd. His paws weren't sandy yellow anymore. They had small, dark spots on them. And there were spots on his tail, too. Leopard looked around and realized that the spots on his skin matched the small, dark patches of shadow he was laying in. Aha, he thought, the shadows have made these spots just in the time that I've been laying here. That's how I can change my skin, just like Giraffe and Zebra and the rest of them. By this time, Leopard had grown tired from all the thinking and waiting, so he lay down and fell into a deep sleep. When he awoke, a long, long time later, his skin was completely covered with small, dark spots made by the shadow of the forest. "Well, how wonderful," he said, looking at his new skin. "Now my skin is no longer sandy yellow-brownish. I can hide in the leafy green forest so that Giraffe and Zebra and the rest of them can't see me. Then when they come close, I can leap out and catch them and eat them up." With that, the spotty leopard set off into the speckly, blotchy, stripy shade of all of the deep forest, where he lived happily ever after, eating and sleeping and not being spotted. And the other animals learned to hide from him as best they could too. The end. Thank you so much for letting me read to you tonight. I hope you feel safe and I hope you feel loved. Good night, little ones.